Happy Friday, everyone. I'm Julian and this is Libby, and together we make up BoxedMeeples. Well, for this week's Favourite Game Friday, we're talking about our favourite abstract game. Now, this is a kind of topic I kind of had to struggle defining what is an abstract game.
I feel like the lines get a bit blurred around the edges. I mean, there's quite a few you can say, oh, that's definitely that, but then there's others and you're like, oh, does that go in that category or this category or another category? But I mean, everyone I'm sure has their own little hoops that they put them in, and we're just going with ours.
Yeah. What does BGG say? That's always a font of good advice. And they said Patchwork was an abstract game. There's lots of different themes for this. Obviously, the original one, you're building a delicious patchwork quilt. Hence the name.
This one's more delicious than
Yeah.
than
So
the
in this
quilt.
one, you're making a box of chocolates, and it's like all patchwork games, it's 2-player only. But in this one, you have the tricky debate of, do I grab something or do I collect currency? The currency in this one is beautiful petit fours, because the more currency you have, the better tiles you can buy. And obviously, the more petit four and currency you have at the game, the more likely you are to win. However, if you do not fill your chocolate box or make your patchwork quilt, you're going to get deducted so many points at the end, you'll wonder why you even bothered. So in this game, you have the ability to pick one of 3 tiles advancing from a specific point around the board. Obviously, which one you then take determines which one your opponent will be able to get, and that's where the fun and games come, because as you look at their board, you have to work out what are they trying to do, what's useful to them, and obviously you're trying to fill up as much of your board as possible. There's various points around the kind of scoring track as you're going around, which gives you those useful single tiles to plug any gaps.
They're always super handy, those.
Because if you get the 7x7, that's 7 more points you're going to get.
Yeah.
So I do like the idea of the race of this game, the challenge of trying to fill up as much of your board as possible and trying to leave yourself in a position so that on subsequent turns you can afford to buy the tiles you need and you're in a position to buy them regardless of what your opponent does.
Yeah, because some of those polyomino shapes in there, I mean, they're tricky to place and get stuff placed around them so you don't have those gaps. There are some chunky, awkward shapes, and you don't want to be left with just those.
No, but if you just collect the small ones, you're never going to fill up your box of chocolates.
No, and they're not as likely to have good chocolates on them. So when you get into a pay up section of all of those chocolates, you're not going to get as much back in order to then buy more in future turns.
So yeah, lots to think about in this clearly abstract game.
I am going for a new game from Cosmos. Was released at the UK Games Expo here, but a small release, and there'll be more coming, I think, very soon. But this one, you're building up an ice temple, and it's really lovely in terms of how you build it and that sort of sense of satisfaction as the temple gets larger and larger. But you really do have to think about where you are placing. Whenever someone completes a set of 4 into a little square, scoring is going to happen. So do you have the majority? Do you not have the majority? When you get up those higher levels, you're also scoring for points if you have the same colour on the foundation of that set of 4 as well. So either blocking out an opponent from taking a really great scoring space for them, or making sure you get it yourself is really interesting in this game. And you're also looking to complete rows and lines depending on what sort of collection you're doing with the cards. If you're going down the architect track, which is one of the great ways to score in this game, then you're going to be wanting to complete all of those rows or potentially stop someone who is clearly trying to score in that way. There's lots of ways that you can sort of get in each other's way in terms of what they're obviously set collecting with the cards, and the cards allow you to place your brick depending on what category you're going in. But it's just so wonderful building up this temple, and whoever gets that opportunity to put the top of the temple on at the end, that's super satisfying.
The whole game when you get to finish off the temple.
A really lovely puzzly game, and it does have that real kind of what's best for me, what's really annoying for my opponent, which path shall I go down. There's lots of different paths to go down every time you play because there's so many different ways to score well and win in this one. So really enjoying it and love the components and how it all looks. So it's super fun.
But what is an abstract game? What's your definition of an abstract game? Let us know in the comments down below, because we can't really define exactly what it is. And while you're doing that, What's your favourite abstract game? Which one do you really enjoy playing? And do all abstract games involve doing something yourself but trying to annoy your opponent?
Yeah, we would love to hear from you in the comments. And of course, if you aren't subscribed to us, we would love it if you would do that too. And as usual, if you are looking for board games much like Nunatak or Patchwork Valentine Edition, then you should head to your friendly local game store. And for us here in the southeast of England, our friendly local game store is Chaos Cards. And there is, as usual, a discount code in the description. So if you are shopping online with them, you can save yourself a few pennies.
But as always, thanks so much for watching.
Bye.